Good morning, everyone. It's Thursday, November 12th from the San Antonio Express News. My name is Luis Vasquez, and this is your Express Briefing. All of the stories you need to know to start your day. You can expect partly sunny skies and a high of 83 degrees in San Antonio today. The City Council will hold a special meeting online at 1 p.m. today to discuss the Alamo project, which has been losing momentum since the Texas Historical Commission denied the city's request to relocate the cenotaph. We'll keep you updated at expressnews.com. Texas's grim distinction as the national leader in COVID-19 infections came as little surprise to some medical experts who blamed politicians for conflicting messages about the virus and warned the worst is yet to come. This is why Texas was the first state to 1 million cases. You're invited to join us online today for a conversation with U.S. Representative Hurd, a 3-term congressman from Helotes, as part of our Talking San Antonio series. And now let's move on to our top stories for the day. Five people allegedly involved in a scheme that defrauded a San Antonio bank of millions of dollars have been indicted by a federal grand jury, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office. The indictment charged Ronald Wayne Schroeder, the 48-year-old former president of a Bank of San Antonio subsidiary, with 3 counts of bank fraud, conspiracy to commit bank fraud, and conspiracy to commit money laundering. Schroeder is accused of using the proceeds to buy automobiles, recreational vehicles, an airplane, a boat, and a beach house. The indictment comes more than 3 months after the Bank of San Antonio revealed that it uncovered a $13.2 million Ponzi-style fraud scheme involving Schroeder. He's accused of inducing the bank to purchase worthless receivables from various businesses. For more on the financial method known as factoring and the potential punishments the defendants face, read Patrick Danner's latest story. A Mexican citizen living in South Texas, Rogelio Volado crossed the Rio Grande legally when he was 9 years old and was drafted at 22 while working as a grocery store clerk in Rio Grande City. It was 1942, the war was on, and if Volado was unsettled about the prospect of military service, he didn't dwell on it. He didn't have a choice. On his 101st birthday, he went to renew his license. He doesn't drive much these days and hardly goes out. He's a little slower and has trouble hearing, but he's a survivor. He learned that as a B-17 gunner. He talked with Sig Christensen about the war, his wife of 60 years, and what's on his mind around Veterans Day. United States Senator Ted Cruz on Wednesday explained how much of a long shot President Donald Trump's chances of overturning the election results are, just days after he was on Fox News saying Trump still has a path to victory. As President-elect Joe Biden's margin of victory widened in several key states, the Texas Republican and one of Trump's most vocal supporters said he is now urging the president and members of his administration to get serious about the court battles they face. Elections experts say there's virtually no chance of Trump winning at this point, even as the president continues to say the opposite. Some Texas Republicans, such as Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, have stuck with the president. Other prominent Trump backers in Texas were striking a different tone. Benjamin Worman has the latest on the presidential election at expressnews.com. Sal Meir is a 79-year-old military vet, a former public health official, and a former San Antonian with lots on his mind as the nation continues to grapple not only with COVID-19 infections and hospitalizations, but its racial history. He's reached a point in his life in which he must tell his stories. Journalists hear from such men a lot. They're bursting with memories and eager to share their photographs. They're running out of time, and some may be running out of people who'll listen. There's an urgency in their voice. Meir's journey started on San Antonio's south side and included stints in Turkey, New Mexico, and more. Elena Yala tells his story in her latest article. Be sure to check out our interactive map with coronavirus testing sites that don't require a doctor's referral. You can find the site closest to you by entering your address, selecting a circle to find out more about a location, including if it's appointment only and if it has drive-through testing. Next up are your need-to-know headlines. You can find all of these headlines and more inside your Express News subscription. The number of coronavirus patients admitted to San Antonio hospitals remained on the rise Wednesday, signaling that the pandemic is still a threat to San Antonio and Bexar County. Governor Greg Abbott announced Wednesday he's deploying more emergency resources to El Paso and Lubbock to deal with a surge in coronavirus hospitalizations that are overrunning hospital systems in those regions. You can follow our timeline of coronavirus in Texas at expressnews.com. Just hours after Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick offered up a $1 million reward for evidence of voter fraud in the November 3rd election, he got one of his first claims. But it's not quite what he is seeking. Pennsylvania Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman, a Democrat, jumped on Patrick's offer. After spending the pandemic-shortened 2019-2020 NBA campaign working as an assistant on the Spurs bench, Tim Duncan has decided not to return for another tour of duty alongside Greg Popovich. A San Antonio teacher is accused of using the social media app Snapchat to send inappropriate photos and messages to a student, according to an arrest affidavit. The AT&T Center is now being used as a free COVID-19 testing site for possible asymptomatic individuals from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. weekdays in Lot 2. Schools across San Antonio have struggled to keep students in class or tuned in online. Some rural school districts eliminated remote instruction after staggering numbers of virtual learners skipped classes and received failing grades. We have how one school district got them back at expressnews.com. The Somerset Independent School District received a national award on Tuesday and the $50,000 that comes with it for its commitment to helping teachers thrive while improving student outcomes. University health officials say the ongoing coronavirus crisis has turned the budget-making process into a complicated guessing game. The proposed 2021 budget set aside $3.2 million for the administration of a COVID-19 vaccine once one is available. Top Texas Republicans are pushing back on Texas GOP Chair Allen West's attempt to undermine Representative Dade Phelan, who has the majority support he needs to be elected House Speaker in January. While CPS Energy also saw a sizable reduction in carbon dioxide emissions between 2018 and 2019, the utility's coal plant remains one of the larger CO2 polluters in Texas, according to the EIA, an arm of the U.S. Energy Department. Luby's Incorporated shareholders will vote next week on plans to liquidate and dissolve the company, according to the owner of Luby's and Fuddruckers restaurant brands. The Express News editorial board writes, quote, "The Electoral College is a flawed, antiquated system created for an America that no longer exists. It's time to scrap it. It's untenable to elect presidents who lose the popular vote in elections." With the pandemic, business shutdowns, and economic and election stress, 2020 is the worst year ever. And while some people are dealing with it all by eating and drinking their feelings, others are getting a mood boost with an early shot of Christmas. Many in San Antonio are decorating their homes for the holidays earlier than usual, skipping the fall gourds and going straight from Halloween to deck the halls. Are the early decorators onto something? Yes, say the experts. Studies show decorating early can make you happier. You can read more about the local early decorators at expressnews.com. Birria, beef bourguignon, and Irish stew transform into lighter dishes with deer meat taking the place of the beef. We have what you need to know about using venison as a stand-in for beef brisket or chuck roast in your stews. Keep the Thanksgiving stress to a minimum. You've had enough of that this year already. And have someone else cook your meal. We have some options available to you at expressnews.com. Express News staff writer David Hinojosa sets up the San Antonio area's high school football weekend, including first-round playoff games in 4A and below starting tonight. In an effort to welcome back patrons, St. Paul Square is hosting an all-day affair Saturday, starting with a pop-up market at 11 a.m. There will also be a grilled cheese festival, tailgating for the UTSA football game, and a free concert. UIW is exploring options to play a non-conference contest in November or December, aiming to give players the reward of a preseason exhibition before the 6-game Southland Conference season begins on February 20th. And that's all for today. This was your Express Briefing for Thursday, November 12th. My name is Luis Vasquez. Please consider becoming an Express News subscriber to get in-depth coverage on all the stories you heard today. Also, be sure to rate and review this podcast inside of your Apple Podcast app, as it really helps the show. Have a wonderful day, everyone.